Marcelo Mayer just simply cannot catch a break. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. There was a lot of excitement within Red Sox Nation for promotions that happened over the last week or so. We got all four of the Red Sox top playing prospects right now at the AAA level, just one step away from Major League Baseball, but there's one guy out of the four of those that still hasn't touched the dirt in Worcester, and it's looking like it may be a little while until he's able to do that. So what we are going to do in the second video today is break that down, talk about the injury to the Red Sox #1 prospect, what this means for him, and what this means for the Red Sox. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live tonight, right around 8 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. We're going to be watching a very important must-win game for the Boston Red Sox together, talking about this, talking about other Red Sox stuff. If you haven't been to one of these yet, this one could end up being a ton of fun. I highly recommend stopping on by. Again, that is 8 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Now, for those of you who may not be super familiar with what I'm talking about here, just a couple of hours ago, Alex Spear announced that the Boston Red Sox have decided to place Marcelo Mayer on the 7-day injured list with Worcester. Now, it wasn't officially confirmed until a little bit later that Marcelo Mayer will be on the 7-day IL, but that is where they put him. It's a little bit different. It's not the 10-day, it's a 7-day down in Worcester, and this isn't technically a new injury for Marcelo Mayer. It's the same one that he's been dealing with even before his promotion to AAA, which is his soreness and his hip glutes. Again, officially putting him on the 7-day IL. Now, there are kind of two schools of thought here as to what this means for Marcelo Mayer's season. There's the one school of thought that's saying, hey, the Worcester Red Sox for the last week or so have been playing essentially a man down. Marcelo Mayer hasn't been on the IL. He's been on the active roster. He just simply hasn't been able to get into games. The Red Sox simply need somebody out there who's going to be able to play, and by placing Marcelo Mayer on the 7-day IL, you are allowing for things to happen like a Kristian Campbell promotion that does give you at least someone to play in these games. Obviously, Kristian Campbell isn't just someone, he's one of the Red Sox best prospects, and that worked out really well. But one of the schools of thinking of this IL stint is exactly that. They needed someone out there. Marcelo Mayer couldn't be out there, so they brought someone up who could be out there and left Marcelo Mayer on the IL. However, it may end up being a little bit more tricky than that, because the other school of thought here is that this could end up spelling the end of Marcelo Mayer's season. According to Chris Clegg, a very prominent minor league reporter, he tweeted that he wouldn't be shocked if Marcelo Mayer was out for the rest of the year, and that best case scenario would be towards the end of the year at very best, meaning that he believes that Marcelo Mayer's 2024 season is most likely done, and this is absolutely not a good sign. Now, I will say, saying Marcelo Mayer's season is possibly over does sound a tad bit dramatic when you take a look at what that actually means on paper, because of the fact that Marcelo Mayer's in AAA, and because of the fact that they end in mid-September. Even a week of Marcelo Mayer on the IL, more than he's already spent, would probably have him coming back at the very end of this year, right? If he were to come back a week after today, there'd only be about 3 or 4 weeks left of the Worcester Red Sox season. There wouldn't be a ton of time for him in AAA either way, and if it were to end his season again, you're probably only losing Marcelo Mayer for a couple of weeks here. It'd probably be 3 or 4 towards the end of the year. I didn't do the exact math, but you understand my thinking, right? It's about a month that you're going to miss of Marcelo Mayer, which, again, comparatively to him saying it's the end of Marcelo Mayer's season, that's not as big of a deal as it looks on paper. However, not that good of a sign. This would be about 5 or 6 weeks that Marcelo Mayer has spent on the IL now. This includes the IL time that he spent in AA, the IL time that he was technically not on the IL, but he was really on the IL time in Worcester, and now with the official IL stint, that's about 5-6 weeks that he spent not being with this team, and this is now the second year in a row that you've had a conversation like this about Marcelo Mayer, because if you remember last year, he went onto the IL around this time. It was like August 2nd, August 8th, somewhere in that area, and that effectively ended his season as well. And I know the immediate reaction, which I've already seen on Twitter a lot, which I'm more than likely going to see in this comment section, is that this dude's injury prone, that this dude is going to be a bust because of his injury history, and that the Red Sox need to trade him immediately. And there is some validity validity to those claims. 2 seasons in a row of having a guy who's as high caliber as Marcelo Mayer end up on the IL at the end of a year isn't exactly a great sign that he's going to be able to improve that as he continues getting closer towards Major League Baseball. So I do understand that sentiment a little bit, but I also want to offer a bit of a counter argument here. I want to talk about why this may not be as big of a deal as it may feel because of his status in this organization. One, this doesn't really affect the 2024 Red Sox. Obviously, this is going to impact the future of the Red Sox as it's most likely going to delay his debut a little bit, but even from the get-go, getting to AAA, there was an understanding that it was more than likely not going to happen that Marcelo Mayer was going to make his debut this year. It would have had to be absolute worst-case scenario for the Boston Red Sox, meaning that they end up 7-8 games back of a playoff spot by mid-September. You call these guys up just simply so they can get some reps in Major League Baseball. Now, with the bullpen in the state it is, that isn't exactly a far cry from impossible, but at the same time, too, it's probably not super likely. So either way, you probably weren't going to see Marcelo Mayer in 2024, but more importantly, the counter argument I have to him being injury prone is that Marcelo Mayer is 21 years old. He has not reached Major League Baseball yet, and for me, it feels like a good thing to get these types of injuries out of the way. And the reason I say that, and the reason I think that this could end up being a positive in the long run for Marcelo Mayer is because one of the biggest things you need to learn as a professional baseball player making your way towards Major League Baseball is the ability to understand your body, when to push it and when to hold off. And I think that's what we're seeing right here, because last year, if you remember, Marcelo Mayer had that injury that he tried to play through. He tried to say, nope, I'm good. I'm going to get through this and it's going to naturally heal on its own. And what it ended up doing was getting worse and effectively ending his season. Now, I don't know Marcelo personally. I have not talked to him, but I think there is a possibility here that he took that and he said, okay, I now understand what my limits are. And he ended up with this glute and hip soreness, then he's like, oh, whoa, wait a second. I don't want the same thing to happen this year. And he took a step in the opposite direction where he's being too cautious. It's about finding that middle ground and figuring out the best way to utilize your body in order to perform at a high level, right? You have to figure out a way to be on that field for 162 games. It's a problem you run into with starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. It's also a problem you run into with position players. In minor league baseball, the most games you are playing is just over 100 if you spend an entire season in Worcester. Up to that point, you're not playing anywhere near 162 games. In my opinion, what this is doing is teaching Marcelo Mayer that, hey, there's a balance between being too cautious and not being cautious enough, and finding that point before you get to Major League Baseball could end up being a really positive thing. Now, again, obviously, if he continues to get hurt in the minor leagues, at some point you have to get real worried about what that's going to look like in Major League Baseball, but I'm not too concerned with the injuries he's had. The first one that he went through, again, the only real reason that ended up ruining his season was because of the fact that he tried to play through. This injury is just general hip and glute soreness. It's not like anything's off. It's not like anything's strained. It's not like anything's broken. It's just simply that he's sore. And to me, that's not the end of the world. I know that might sound crazy, and I know there are going to be a lot of people who say, Corbin, what are we talking about here? This injury's an injury. If he can't stay on the field, he's not going to be productive at the big league level. And again, I do understand that sentiment, but this is what the minor leagues are about. It's about making sure that you are ready in every possible way when you get that call to Major League Baseball, and an underrated part of that is that availability. So I don't like the fact that Marcelo Mayer's injured 2 years in a row. It does make me a lot more cautious as to what Marcelo Mayer could do for this Red Sox team over the next couple of years, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's time to start being like, oh, we got to trade this guy. He got hurt 2 years in a row, because good things can happen from people who get injured in minor league baseball. A prime example of that is Kristian Campbell. Now, I know obviously this is a bad year to use Kristian Campbell as a durability meter by any means, but he went through injuries in the minor leagues as well. And when he was rehabbing, he talked about that. He talked about the fact that despite the fact that this is his first injury in Major League Baseball, this is also something that he's dealt with before. Then he understands how to get through. He understands where his body needs to be to get back onto the field on a full-time basis. So I don't know. I don't know what to take from this Marcelo Mayer news. The biggest thing that sucks is that we aren't going to see him progress to a point where it's possible that he breaks camp with the Red Sox in 2025. Right now, they're probably going to want him to get some reps at the AAA level before they even consider bringing him up. But you do still have a whole lot to be excited about in Worcester. So at the end of the day, that's also not the end of the world either. I think headline-wise, this is a big deal. I think when you dive deep into it, it's not as big of a deal. Again, there's no guarantee that Marcelo Mayer is going to end up missing the rest of the season. We could make this video and he's back next Tuesday, right? We could make this video and he's back by the end of the weekend. We could also make this video and he's out for the rest of the year. So I don't really know what to think here. I think hopefully this is a good learning moment for Marcelo and he continues to grow and continues to figure himself out as he gets towards Major League Baseball. I know there are going to be a lot of people saying, well, Corbin, other prospects aren't getting hurt like this, and I understand that, but the beauty of baseball is that everyone has to play it on an individual level to compete at a team level, and that also means everyone's going to go about and learn different things at different times. For Marcelo, hopefully this is him learning his body at a time that helps him produce in Major League Baseball. I'm sure I've said that 1,000 times by now, but it is absolutely the truth. So that's why when I look at this, it sucks. It really sucks that we don't see Marcelo Mayer. It is concerning, absolutely, but I don't think it's time to raise the red flags. I don't think it's time to pack his bags and ship him out of Boston ourselves. I think it's time to sit back and wait and see what Marcelo Mayer can be. He's still young. He's still got a whole lot of talent, and he's still got a whole lot of baseball left in him, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think about this? What do you think about Marcelo Mayer getting injured for the second year in a row? What do you think about this possibly ending his season? What do you think this means for the Boston Red Sox? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest prospect injury in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Don't forget, live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time on this channel. And if you want to listen instead of watch these videos, all you got to do is head over to Spotify and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on the second video of the day, and I will see you once again in the Red Seats.